Hi, this is Evan, and I'm your host for Wine Couch TV. As we so often do, this week we'll focus in on a couple of wines, the foods that love them, and talk a little bit about where the wines are from and a bit of information about the specific grape from which they're made. This week's focus is Gruner Veltliner. Now, Gruner Veltliner is a grape that is from Austria that's really, really popular, but pretty much popular with sommeliers and wine aficionados. My goal today is to get it so it's popular with you too. Gruner Veltliner, or GV, or as it's known in so many restaurants, Groovy, has long been a very, very popular wine with sommeliers who recommend it with an incredible array of foods because it's a very diverse wine. This Austrian grape has a lot of complexity and is grown throughout many, many different regions. I think you'll see as we go through and taste them, and then you ultimately buy the wines, that this is a grape worth checking out. Our first wine today is a popular wine. It's an everyday price point in a fabulous 1-liter bottle, I might add, from the house of E.M. Berger, and this particular wine is from the 2006 vintage. Let's go ahead and taste it. Gruner Veltliner in general is like many aromatic white wines, doesn't have a tremendous amount of color, so don't be looking for that rich, deep straw or Chardonnay colored wine that you're going to typically find in some cases. You'll be disappointed. This one has a nice light straw color, a little bit pale, very appropriate. In the nose, this wine to me has all of the markers that I'm looking for in a classic Gruner Veltliner. A little bit of celery, a touch of lentil, a little bit of caraway, and just a little slight flavor of aromatic spice, and maybe a bit of radish. All the classic, what we call markers for this grape. Let's taste. Well, all of those flavors are coming through in the mouth. I'm getting the radish, I'm getting that slight amount of lentil, I'm getting a little bit of that celery or celery root, and then just a very strong citrusy push that takes the flavor through. The wine's a little bit leaner, a little bit more angular, quite flavorful, and again, for the everyday price point, plus you get it in a liter bottle, that's when I would go home and buy. Let's take a look at our second wine. This particular wine is also a Gruner Veltliner from the 2006 vintage from the producer by the name of Willi Brundlmayer. Now, Willi Brundlmayer is probably along the lines of a Nicolas Catena in Argentina or a Robert Mondavi here in the United States, and being probably one of the people most responsible for putting this grape and this country, indeed, on the map. He really is the man, and Willi's actually a really, really nice guy, too. Let's go ahead and taste his wine. Again, the color, pretty straightforward, a little richer and a little deeper than the first wine we had, perhaps showing slightly lower yields, maybe a little bit more concentration. Again, something I would expect in a wine that's more premium priced than the everyday price point wine that we had before. This wine has got deep fruit, a lot of richness to it, and on top of all of those markers that we saw before, again the celery root, again the lentil, again that little bit of caraway, I'm also finding a nice undercurrent of like coriander, maybe a little bit of ginger, and a very slightly honeyed pear quality, which shows deep richness and extract. I'm also finding here, which I didn't find so much in the first wine, a little bit of a sort of slaty, earthy character, which you would expect, Austria being an old world wine. This particular wine happens to come from the Kremstal region of Austria, which is very, very good. The first wine we had, by the way, the E.M. Berger, comes from the Kremstal area, also really good. Let's taste this wine. That is delightful. Rich, powerful, a very strong attack. Both of the wines are on the medium-bodied side, but this one has a little bit more oomph to it and has a brilliantly, almost electric level of acidity to it, which carries through in a long finish, which is actually quite expansive and really, really tasty. When I think of Gruner Veltliner, I do think of food. Although I love Gruner Veltliner on its own, it really seems to sort of click into place at table. A couple of different things to think about. One, green food, salads. All of us are saying, what do I have with my salad? What do I have with my salad? Well, here's the wine for you. It's got bright acid, it has naturally sort of vegetable-like flavors, and it holds beautifully with either a composed salad, a little bit of asparagus with brown butter, or perhaps even a little bit of endive with a pancetta vinaigrette or something like that. That's the ticket wine there. I also like it with Asian food. Gruner Veltliner has this proclivity to work across various different styles of Asian food, but one of the most traditional matches and one that works really, really well are Vietnamese spring rolls and Gruner Veltliner. That's a match you really got to try. Last but not least, sort of saltier, richer meats. I'm thinking things like ham, I'm thinking things like sausage, I'm thinking things like pork chops, and what better pairing is there for a classic Austrian Wiener Schnitzel than that wine there over there? So I would try that. Now, before we go, as always, your Wine Couch TV word of the week. This week's word is, get ready, Gutsabfullung. Now, Gutsabfullung, which sounds more like an Austrian sobriety test, is a German term that literally just means estate bottled. So it's not a word that you'll see associated with cooperative bottlings, but rather one where the wine is made and bottled on the same site. Gutsabfullung, estate bottled. Add that to your vocabulary. Anyway, we're out of time for this week. We'll see you next week when we cover off on Pinot Noir, one of America's favorite wines these days, and again, the foods that go with them. Until then, you take care.